Om apavitra pavitro va sarva avastang gato piva ya StMoritz pundarika akshang sabhaya abhyantara suchihi. Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, mukam karoti vachalang pangung lang hayate girim. Yat kripatamahang vande sigurung dinataranam. Yat kripatamahang vande paramananda madhavam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So when we had a proper last class, not last week, we heard the love story of Usha and Aniruddha. How Usha had a wonderful dream and she was kissing and embracing a beautiful, handsome man. And when she woke up, her girlfriends who were with her in the bedroom, accompanying her, they remarked, "You were talking in your sleep." And so Usha explained how she had been dreaming of this wonderful young man. So Usha had a friend, Chitraleka, and she said, "Yes, I must find this man for you. If he's anywhere in the three worlds, I know how to find him." So Chitraleka started to draw many pictures of famous, handsome, stalwart personalities. And when she drew the picture of Krishna, Usha became a little embarrassed. But then when she drew the picture of Aniruddha, she hung her head and admitted it was the man of her dreams. So Chitraleka used her mystic powers and flew to Dwaraka. And at first, Chitraleka was not able to enter Dwaraka because it was mentioned that it was very well protected. But then, as can be expected, Narada Muni Bajaya Vina Radhika Ramana Namne. Narada Muni appeared on the scene in order to assist Krishna's pastimes, because that's what the advanced devotees do. They assist, they complement Krishna's pastimes. So Narada gave her specific knowledge and mystic power that would allow Chitraleka to enter Dwaraka. And she proceeded to find Aniruddha sleeping on his bed. And by her mystic powers, she transported Aniruddha to the bedroom of Usha. And as it was explained, their love between each other grew 10 times by 10 times, or so many times, I don't know if it was, maybe it was 4, I can't remember. I think it was 4 times. Their love exchange was increasing. But because Aniruddha stayed in the inner apartment, only the few girlfriends, close girlfriends, knew what was going on, not the guards. But eventually, after some time, it became apparent by Usha's bodily symptoms, they could detect, aha, she is no longer a virgin. So they were very afraid of their own situation. So they went to Usha's father. And Usha's father, his name was Bana Asura. And he became very upset that his daughter was no longer a virgin. So he approached the room, and he also brought soldiers. And there he saw, Bana Asura saw, there was Aniruddha. And he was acting as if nothing was wrong. He was acting as if everything was wonderful, hunky-dory. But then Aniruddha saw that Bana Asura had come in a bellicose manner, and he was going to attack. So Aniruddha picked up an iron spear and held off all the soldiers. But eventually, Bana Asura used a secret weapon which he had gotten from his great worshipful Lord Shiva. Because Bana Asura had gotten benedictions from Lord Shiva, namely 10,000 arms. And with those 10,000 arms, he would play drums, and Lord Shiva would dance in ecstatic ecstasy. Lord Shiva considered Bana Asura to be like his own son. He was very affectionate. And so he had given Bana Asura the Naga Pasha, the snake noose. And with that powerful weapon, Aniruddha was captured. And that's where we left off 2 weeks ago. So this episode is entitled, The Battle Begins. When the 4 months of the rainy season had passed, and Aniruddha had still not returned home, all the members of the Yadu family became much perturbed. They could not understand how the boy was missing. Fortunately, one day the great sage, Narada Muni Bhajaya Vina Radhika Ramana Name, Narada came informing the family about Aniruddha's disappearance from the palace. Narada explained how Aniruddha had been carried to the city of Shonitapura, the capital of Bana Asura's empire, and how Bana Asura had arrested Aniruddha with the Naga Pasha, even though Aniruddha had defeated Bana Asura's soldiers. This news was given in detail, and the whole story was disclosed. Then the members of the Yadu dynasty, all of whom had great affection for Krishna, then prepared to attack the city of Shonatapura. Practically all the leaders of the family, including Pradyumna, Satyaki, Gada, Samba, Sarana, Nanda, Upananda, and Bhadra, all combined together and gathered 18 Akshauhini military divisions into phalanxes. Then they all went to Shonitapura, surrounding it with soldiers, elephants, horses, and chariots. Bana Asura then heard that the soldiers of the Yadu dynasty were now attacking the whole city. The Yadu dynasty soldiers were tearing down various walls, gates, and nearby gardens. Becoming very angry, Bana Asura immediately ordered his soldiers, who were of equal caliber, to go and face the Yadu dynasty soldiers. Lord Shiva was so kind to Bana Asura that he personally came as the commander-in-chief of the military force. Assisted by his heroic sons, Kartikeya and Ganapati, Lord Shiva, who was known as Nandishvara, seated on his favorite bull, led the fighting against Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram. Oh, we can simply imagine how fierce the fighting must have been. Lord Shiva with his valiant sons on one side, and Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and his elder brother Sri Balaramaji on the other. The fighting was so fierce that those who saw the battle were struck with wonder, and the hairs on their bodies stood up. Lord Shiva was engaged in fighting directly with Lord Krishna. Krishna's son Pradyumna was engaged with Lord Shiva's son Kartikeya, and Balaram was engaged with Bana Asura's commander-in-chief Kumbhanda, and he was assisted by Kupakarna. Samba, the son of Krishna and Jambavati, fought the son of Bana Asura, and Bana Asura himself fought Satyaki, the commander-in-chief of the Yadu dynasty. In this way, the fighting was waged. By nature, Lord Shiva is all-knowing and thus well aware of Lord Krishna's greatness. Still, although Lord Shiva knew that Krishna would defeat him, Shivji joined the battle against Krishna just to demonstrate the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Shiva entered the battle for two reasons. First, to increase Krishna's pleasure and enthusiasm. And second, to demonstrate that Krishna's incarnation on earth, although enacting human-like pastimes, is superior to all other avatars, including Ramachandra. Lord Krishna's internal potency, Yogamaya, thus bewildered Lord Shiva, just as she had bewildered Lord Brahma when he attempted to steal Krishna's boyfriends and calves. Yogamaya's job is to make fine arrangements for Krishna's pastimes, and thus Lord Shiva became enthusiastic on the battlefield in his fight against the Supreme Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The next episode is entitled, Lord Shiva Defeated by Lord Krishna. News of the fighting spread all over the universe. Demigods such as Lord Brahma from the highest planetary system, along with great sages and saintly persons, as well as Siddhas, Charanas, and Gandharvas, all being very curious to see the fight between Lord Shiva and Lord Krishna and their assistants, they all hovered over the battlefield in their various aeroplanes. Lord Shiva is known as Bhutanath, and so Lord Shiva was assisted by various types of powerful ghosts and denizens of the blazing inferno. They were named Bhutas, Pretas, Pramathas, Guyakas, Dakinis, Pishachas, Kushmandas, Vetalas, Vinayakas, and Brahma Rakshasa. And of all kinds of ghosts, the Brahma Rakshasas are very powerful. They are Brahmanas who, having died from suicide, have entered the ghostly species of life. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, simply drove all these ghosts away from the battlefield with the arrows from his celebrated bow, Sharngat Dharnur. Lord Shiva then began to release all of his selected weapons against the personality of Godhead. But without any difficulty, Lord Sri Krishna counteracted all these weapons with his own counter weapons. Krishna counteracted the Brahmastra, which is similar to the atomic bomb, by yet another Brahmastra. And he counteracted Lord Shiva's air weapon with a mountain weapon. When Lord Shiva released a particular weapon, bringing about a violent hurricane on the battlefield, Lord Krishna presented just the opposing element, another mountain weapon, which checked the hurricane on the spot. Similarly, when Lord Shiva released his weapon of devastating fire, Krishna counteracted it with torrents of rain. At last, when Lord Shiva released his personal weapon called Pashupata Astra, Krishna immediately counteracted it by his Narayana Astra. Lord Shiva then became exasperated in fighting with Lord Krishna. Krishna then took the opportunity to release his yawning weapon. When this yawning weapon is released, the opposing party becomes tired, stops fighting, and begins to yawn. Consequently, Lord Shiva became so fatigued that he refused to fight anymore, and so he began yawning. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Next episode, Lord Krishna fights Bana Asura. Now that Lord Shiva was yawning, Krishna was now able to turn his attention from the attack of Lord Shiva to the efforts of Bana Asura. And Krishna began to kill Bana Asura's personal soldiers with swords and clubs. Meanwhile, Lord Krishna's son Pradyumna was fighting fiercely with Kartikeya, the commander-in-chief of the demigods. Kartikeya became wounded, and his body was bleeding profusely. In this condition, Kartikeya left the battlefield, and without fighting any more, rode away on the back of his peacock carrier. Similarly, Lord Balaram smashed Bana Asura's commander-in-chief Kumbhanda with the strokes of his club. Kupakarna was also wounded in this way, and so both Kupakarna and Kumbhanda fell on the battlefield, Kumbhanda being fatally wounded. Thus, without guidance, all of Bana Asura's soldiers scattered here and there. When Bana Asura saw that his soldiers and commanders had all been defeated, Bana Asura's anger only increased. Bana Asura then thought it wise to stop fighting with Satyaki, who was Krishna's commander-in-chief. And so Bana Asura instead directly attacked Lord Krishna. Now, finally, having the opportunity to use his 1,000 arms, Bana Asura rushed towards Krishna, simultaneously working 500 bows and 2,000 arrows. Such a foolish person as Bana Asura could never measure Krishna's strength. Immediately, without difficulty, Krishna cut each of Bana-asura's bows into 2 pieces. And to check Bana-asura from going further, Krishna made the horses of his chariot lie down on the ground, and the chariot broke to pieces. After doing this, Krishna blew his conchal, Panchajanya. At this time, there appeared a demigoddess whose name was Kotara, and she was worshipped by Bana-asura. Their relationship was like mother and son. Mother Kotara was upset that Bana-asura's life was in danger. So Kotara suddenly appeared on the battle scene. With naked body and scattered hair, she stood before Lord Krishna. Sri Krishna did not like the sight of this naked woman, and so to avoid seeing her, Krishna turned his face. Bana-asura, now getting this chance to escape Krishna's attack, left the battlefield. All the strings of his bows were broken, and there was no chariot or chariot driver. So Bana-asura had no alternative but to return to his city, Shonitapura. Bana-asura lost everything in the battle. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The episode now continues. Do not touch that dial. Stay with it. This section is called Shiva Dwar versus Narayana Dwar. Being greatly harassed by the arrows of Krishna, all the associates of Lord Shiva, namely the hobgoblins and ghostly bhutas, pretas, and other kinds of entities, all left the battlefield. After Lord Shiva had become so fatigued that he refused to fight any longer and began yawning, Lord Shiva then took to his last resort. Lord Shiva released his greatest death weapon, which is known as Shiva Dwar, which destroys by excessive temperature. It is said that at the end of the creation, the sun becomes 12 times more scorching than usual. This 12 times hotter temperature is called Shiva Dwar. When Shiva Dwar, who was personified, was released, he had 3 legs, 3 heads, 6 arms, and 9 eyes. And as terrible Shiva Dwar came towards Krishna, it appeared that he was burning everything to ashes. Shiva Dwar was so powerful that he made blazing fire appear in all directions. And Krishna observed that Shiva Dwar was specifically coming towards him. Shiva Dwar resembled Yamaraj, who comes at the time of universal annihilation. But just as there is a Shiva Dwar weapon, there is also a Narayana Dwar weapon, which is represented by excessive cold. The fact is that when there is excessive heat, one can somehow or other tolerate it. But when there is excessive cold, everything collapses. This is actually experienced by a person at the time of death. At the time of death, the temperature of the body first of all increases to 107 degrees, and then the whole body collapses and immediately becomes as cold as ice. In order to counteract the scorching heat of the Shivadwar, there is no other weapon but Narayana-shwar. Therefore, when Lord Krishna saw that the Shivadwar had been released by Lord Shiva, Krishna had no recourse other than to release the Narayana-shwar. Lord Sri Krishna is the original Narayan, and Lord Sri Krishna is the controller of the Narayana-shwar weapon. And when the Narayana-shwar was released, there was a great fight between the two shwars. When excessive heat is counteracted by extreme cold, it is natural for the hot temperature to gradually reduce. And this is what occurred in the fight between Shivadwar and Narayana-dwar. Gradually, Shivadwar's temperature diminished, and Shivadwar began crying for help from his master Lord Shiva. But Lord Shiva was unable to help Shivadwar while in the presence of the Narayana-shwar. Unable to get any help from Lord Shiva, Shivadwar could understand that he had Shivadwar could understand that he had no means of escape outside of surrendering unto Narayana, Lord Krishna himself. It is significant that the Shivadwar had to leave the side of his master, Lord Shiva, and directly take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. Lord Shiva, who is Mahadev, the greatest of the demigods, could not help Shivadwar. And what to speak of the lesser demigods? And therefore, Shivadwar ultimately surrendered unto Krishna, bowing before Krishna and offering prayers so that Krishna might be pleased and perhaps give Shivadwar protection. This incident of the fight between the ultimate weapons of Lord Shiva and Lord Krishna proves the fact. Mare Krishna Rake Ke, Rake Krishna Mare Ke. If Krishna gives someone protection, no one can kill that person. But if Krishna does not give one protection, then no one else can save that person. Lord Shiva is many times referred to as Mahadev, the greatest of all the demigods. And sometimes Lord Brahma is considered the greatest of all demigods because he can create. However, Lord Shiva can annihilate the creations of Brahma. Still, both Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva usually act only in one capacity. Lord Brahma can create and Lord Shiva can annihilate. But neither of them can maintain. Lord Vishnu, however, not only maintains, but creates and annihilates as well. Factually, the creation is not effected by Brahma because Brahma himself is created by Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. And Lord Shiva is created or born out of the controlled anger of Lord Brahma, as we learn from the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Previously, Shivadwar was feeling himself to be unlimitedly powerful, and thus Shivadwar attempted to burn Sri Krishna himself. But now the Shivadwar could understand that without Krishna or Narayana, no one could help him, not even Lord Shiva. Shivadwar therefore rightly took shelter of Lord Krishna and with folded hands began to pray as follows. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.